You are Locked On Celtics POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, the Celtics pick up the victory on the road against the Bulls in Chicago, and I'll tell you what, the Bulls can play a little bit, maybe not on the defensive end all the time, but they can certainly put up points. We welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast as the Celtics win their 7th in a row. Couple of days off, no problem for the Celtics. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, national show host on ESPN radio and satellite radio. Danny Ainge, at one point, my favorite Celtics player when I started paying attention to the NBA. Hey, don't forget, he also played baseball. You are locked on with the Locked On Celtics postcast. We're providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss Jayson Tatum going for 35, Payton Pritchard giving the Celtics a big night off the bench as he went for a season-high 29, and he had a huge fourth quarter with Derrick White missing the fourth quarter because of a foot injury. We're going to get into that and a whole lot more as well. As always, our everydayers and our first-timers, we do encourage participation. If you want to join the conversation and you're watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit us up in the comments section and join the Celtics conversation. You can also hit me up on the X at Lennox on Hoops with questions, comments, or concerns. As always, we encourage you to follow the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. We are available wherever you get your podcasts. Also, hit me up and follow me on the X as well at Lennox on Hoops. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Celtics pick up the victory against a Bulls team that's now 2-7 at home, 8-13 on the road. Celtics are 8-13 overall. Celtics have now won 7 in a row, 16-3 on the season. Now, first NBC Sports Boston reference of the night. It comes early. Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine. This is why it's not that I don't like the NBA Cup, but now it comes down, you start the game, yes, you have to win the game, but then you're also going to need point differential and help from other teams and other pools as well. Come on. Not the way I like it right now, right? Wins, losses, you win, you control your own destiny. You lose, then other things come into play. But the Celtics pick up the win. Put up 138 against the Bulls, who, again, can go to the other end of the floor as fast and effectively as anybody. But when it comes to the defensive end, hey, the Celtics took advantage. And it was one of those games where you just thought poise was going to win outright. All of a sudden, the Celtics in that fourth quarter take the lead, didn't give it back. They just had big moments on the offensive end, and they had stops on the defensive end. And that gets me to my first point of the night. Defensively in the NBA, I've said it, Brian Scalabrine even alluded to it. Hey, you're down 6, you're down 7 points right now. Yeah. You're going to get back into it. You're going to get closer by scoring points, but you're also going to need stops on the defensive end. Nowadays in the NBA, is it grind it out and get those stops as the defensive team, or is it simply a matter of those teams settling for threes when they have the lead rather than getting the basket? Point number 2 of the night. The Celtics, I thought, did a wonderful job against the Bulls, and maybe we're going to see it more with Kristaps Porzingis, who did hit a couple of threes, including the first of the game. But with the Celtics on Friday night against the Bulls, they went to the basket. Concerted effort, point of emphasis in the locker room, in the scouting report. It certainly seemed like that, right? Celtics led by 9 after the first quarter, led by as many as 13 in that first quarter. And you thought, okay, maybe cakewalk. Bulls weren't going to do that. Bulls had a strong start to the second quarter, strong start to the third quarter coming out of the locker room. But the Celtics knocked down 9 threes in that first quarter, scored 39 points, and that was a sign of things to come, right? I'll get the final total and numbers of the night for assists to made field goals, but in that first quarter, 10 assists on 15 made field goals. That first quarter really sort of epitomized what the game was going to be. It gave you a real preview of what the next 3 quarters were going to be. But again, the Celtics up by 9 after the first. Second quarter, Torrey Craig, a couple of threes, all of a sudden a 9-point lead down to 3. Game tied at 67 at the half. Vucevic, 14 in the second quarter, 19 at the half. Tatum had 19 at the half. White had 16 at halftime. We'll get into him in just a few moments. But at one point in that second quarter, an 11-0 run for the Bulls to go up by 9. Tatum had a reverse layup at the rim. Again, getting to the basket. Important Friday night against Chicago. White had a block on one end. Again, getting back into a game. Getting stops on the defensive end. So White had a block. Porzingis a basket on the other end. Celtics within 3 in that second quarter. Celtics had a 14-0 run in the second to go up by 5. Vucevic a 3, game tied at 64. Vucevic another 3 late in the second quarter. Bulls by 3. Tatum closing seconds with a 3-pointer. Game tied 67 all going into the half. Jrue Holiday did not score in the first half, but he was important in the second half. In that third quarter, actually it was in the fourth quarter, and it was on NBC Sports Boston. Abby Chin reporting from the sideline. Derrick White sore right foot, doubtful to return. He did not return to the game. Did not come back. And in that fourth quarter, Pritchard really came alive. Pritchard was consistent. Had a 3 during a 7-0 run in the third quarter. Celtics within 2. And then he had a step-back shot. I think that's the one they reviewed. They called it a long 2. Celtics are up by 1. Holiday with a putback on a miss. And with that, Holiday, the bucket, his first points of the game. Then he had another basket in the paint as well in that third quarter. Tatum fouled on a 3, knocked down the first 2, missed on the 3. Celtics were up 92-89. Horford had a basket in that third quarter. His points coming in the paint. His first points of the game coming off the bench. Tatum a layup. Game tied at 96. Tatum then had a miss on a 3 in the closing seconds. It looked like the Celtics had a 1-point lead going to the fourth. No, again, they reviewed a Pritchard 3. They changed it to a 2, 96-96 after 3 quarters. Pritchard, in that fourth quarter, back-to-back 3s. Made it a 1-point game. His second made it a 2-point lead for the Celtics. And Joe Mazzulla in that fourth quarter calling upon Neemias Queta for the first time in the game, and it paid off. Queta is one of those guys, start or come off the bench. He's going to give you a moment in the game where it's positive production. Kept a possession alive, rebound, assists on a Jaylen Brown basket, Celtics by 2. Talon Horton-Tucker had a big game for Chicago. Knocked down some big 3s. Brown had a dunk, an emphatic dunk, a huge dunk, a poster dunk on Jalen Smith in that fourth quarter to give the Celtics a 3-point advantage. LaVine then hit a 3. Pritchard then really got going. Knocked down a 3. Knocked down another 3. A 6 of the game. Celtics a little cushion, a little breathing room up 114-110. That in the fourth quarter, and still a long way to go in terms of the scoring. Pritchard 7-3 of the game, 5th of the quarter, 29 for the game at that point. Season high, 19 in the fourth quarter. KP had a 3, 7-point lead. Holiday with a hoop. That put the Celtics up 124-115. Tatum, 1 of 2 at the line. LaVine had a 3. That made it a 3-point game. But the Celtics, again, showing poise down the stretch. After a timeout, LaVine missed on a 3. Tatum had a dunk, 122. A 5-point lead at that point for the Celtics. 35 for Tatum. Porzingis, nice job on the defensive end on a contest. Holiday knocked down a 3. 8-point lead. Holiday with a putback, 134-127. Then Sam Hauser, less than 2 seconds to go. Points, point differential, NBA Cup, knockout round, moving to the next round, all of that, the quarterfinals. Hauser hit a 3 at the buzzer, and the Celtics win 138-129. Was Billy Donovan upset? You can't be upset because you're playing for something. You're playing for the NBA Cup. Again, your comments. Join us if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit us up in the comments section, and that's where we're going right now. Mike checking in. Mike, as always, great to hear from you. Happy Thanksgiving. 1 day late. Hope you enjoyed it with friends, family, and your loved ones on Thursday. The best you could, right? We all know what the holidays are about. We know what Thanksgiving's about. We're on to Friday. Leftovers, done there. Been there, done that. All gone. Maybe leftovers again on Sunday in our household. Back to the basketball. Great way to start the weekend. LaVine looked great. He's going to be a big trade piece for Chicago. I could see that. I thought that during the game. I don't know that anyone ever touches Lonzo Ball. That's fine. He comes off the bench. I mean, where is he on the scout for the opposing team at this point in time? Right? Where's Lonzo Ball? He's way down there. This is a Chicago Bulls team. I don't think they're intact, and Levine, as Mike says, could be a big part of future trade that gives them future draft picks, perhaps players, younger players, things like that. But they've got some nice pieces. Nikola Vucevic, same. I mean, he had a big game. The Celtics recently are giving up big games to teams. I'm curious to see what the Cavaliers do. Don't know the status. Don't know if it's up or down or, in or out. I just have a feeling Donovan Mitchell's going to have a big game Sunday against the Celtics. I'll touch on more on that later on. Pascal, appreciate you checking in. Bulls played well. They did. They play no defense. No, they don't. They really don't. Think he's talking about Levine. Levine, Pascal thinks is overrated, makes too much money, going to be hard to move. If somebody wants him and they think he can be a piece, then maybe he moves. But I think late in the game when he knocked down a three, he's now the Bulls' all-time leader in three-pointers made. I think Mike had one more. C's were up 125-122. Brown turned it over. Bulls 3-on-1. Tatum passed it to Levine, missed the three. Yeah, I think that's the one I alluded to. To me, Mike's saying that's when the game was decided. Should have been a goaltend. 2 points at least. Okay. They did not challenge that one. I think Scalabrine was maybe asking for it as well. Nicholas checking in. Are the Celtics out of the season tournament? No, they're not. And I'm not going to, Nicholas, I appreciate you checking in with us. I believe you're a first-timer. Much appreciated. They're not out of it. At least for the moment, I believe they're not out of it. But it comes down to other pools and other teams in their pools as to whether or not the Celtics get in. Drew Carter did a nice job early on, but it was still confusing to me. And Scalabrine kept kind of not talking over it, but just like, I don't understand it. And at that point, I didn't understand it either. But the Celtics, in order, I think, to completely clinch, needed to win and then win by 15 or 16 or more to be in. But now, since they didn't win that, but again, point differential, 138. That's why Hauser hit that three in the closing seconds. It was for the NBA Cup. 138-129, the final. Instead of a 5-point win, or a 6-point win turns into an 8-point win. Those points are going to count. And again, the other scenarios that play into this is a reason I think a lot of people aren't on board yet with the NBA Cup. It's got to be more finalized. It's got to be okay. And I understand the way it's working. It's only year 2. So, Nicholas, again, yeah, that Hauser three, it was huge in terms of the point differential in the NBA Cup. A win is a win, but right there, they needed it. They called the timeout. It's the only reason they called the timeout. Otherwise, inbound the ball, win 135-129. Because of the NBA Cup, Hauser hits that three. Celtics with a little bit of a better chance now to advance out of pool play. I apologize for not knowing more, but there are some scenarios in there with other teams needing to win or lose in order for the Celtics to get in. But the Hawks win the pool. That's interesting to me. Keep them coming. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, Celtics win. Hauser that late three. Implications for the NBA Cup. That's what we're talking about. But Tatum, 35. Was it a quiet 35 for Tatum? It was just a consistent 35 across the board, the way he played. 14 rebounds as well. Tatum double-double. Pritchard, 5 of 6, 19 points in that fourth quarter. 29 for the game, played just over 28 and a half minutes. Holiday, 7 of his 11 coming in that fourth quarter. And where is Derrick White right now? Did not play in the fourth quarter, sore right foot. Abby Chin on NBC Sports Boston reporting at the time it was doubtful that he was going to return. Then they confirmed he's out for the game. Is that something serious? Well, for a team that's won 7 in a row and a team that just continues to win, you can afford Derrick White being out for a couple of games. And it would be interesting to see if Derrick White misses a handful of games here. What does Joe Mazzulla do in the backcourt for the Celtics? Celtics are now 16-3 through their first 19 and a 9-1 record on the road. Their only road loss so far this season on the road in overtime to the Indiana Pacers. That's their only road loss of the season. Numbers of the night coming up, segment number 3. More of your thoughts in our comment section on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Keep them coming. NBA thoughts, a little scoreboard peeking as well. That's next. And our Locked On Celtics postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day, presented by Skylight. If you come from a big family, it can be hard to and expensive to buy each one a personal gift for the holidays. We've all been there, planning to celebrate the holidays with your friend group and want to surprise them with surprise all of them with something a bit more special, maybe more meaningful as well than booze from last year. Hey, we've got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. It's easy to use. Setup takes less than 60 seconds. Seamless sharing. Invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. Add photos straight from your phone from anywhere. Only takes a tap of your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop. They'll feel so much more connected to you and your family. Satisfaction guaranteed. We're confident that you're going to love Skylight. We offer free 120-day returns, top-rated brand, over 1 million happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and available in over 30 countries. And now, as a special limited-time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That's skylightframe.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. So the Celtics pick up the win, 138-129. Going to be curious to see. I'll be on board if they make it to the next round of the NBA Cup. I'll be on board if they make it to the semifinals and the finals. But you know what? I'm also on board understanding that rest that's coming after this incredible stretch of games. We'll talk about that with what's on tap coming up in segment number 3. But Friday through a week from tomorrow, Saturday, it's a long stretch for the Celtics. Now, one more on the road, and then they go home. But it's brutal. Back-to-back Celtics and Heat, Sunday, Monday, getting ahead of myself. And then Wednesday, and then a back-to-back Friday, Saturday of next week. All of those games after Sunday in Cleveland at home. And then if they don't make it to the knockout round, you've got an extended stay, an extended period of time off. I wonder if that's the best thing for the Celtics. They won a regular season game. Hauser hitting that 3. That had all the implications of the NBA Cup and the point differential. Now you've got a scoreboard watch, and you've got to see how those other scenarios play out. Pascal, if White misses time, I'd love to see Jordan get some minutes. That's absolutely possible. Andre checking in. Only 3 points for Tatum in that fourth quarter. Maybe that's why it seemed quiet. Possibly. But isn't it great where your top player, Jayson Tatum, game's on the line still in that fourth quarter, and you've got a guy like Pritchard, feed the hot hand. And Pritchard scored 19 points in that quarter. 19 points and knocked down 5 threes. And we've touched on it here before. Whether it's Tatum or Brown, they get it to the hot hand. Pritchard had the ball in his hands. He wasn't getting set up on the three-point line. He had the ball in his hands. He was going one-on-one against a defender. He found his opening, and he wasn't hesitating. He was putting it up. And that's what the Celtics are able to do with the guys that have the ability to score points. And Pritchard, again, he got inside a handful of times. He's not just a guy who sits on that three-point line. Hauser's more of a guy who sits on the three-point line. I'd like to see him go to the basket more. But as I've touched on before, Porzingis is back. And I said on Monday, and some people not thinking that I'm crazy or nuts, but I speculated that maybe he wasn't going to play tonight. No. Everything that you've seen from Kristaps Porzingis in his first 2 games, there are no restrictions. He's come back from injuries in the past, whether it was with the Knicks or the Mavericks. There were minutes restrictions. There were different things. I would now say, looking ahead, he doesn't play Monday at home against Miami. That's the back end of a back-to-back. Plays Sunday, probably doesn't play Monday. Speculation on my part. I'll be the first to admit it. But again, Andre, appreciate you checking in. Yeah, okay. So 35 points. He had 32 through 3 quarters. Didn't put it on cruise control, but it's nice that he's out there on the floor and it opens it up for other guys. And that's certainly what happened. I mean, Pritchard had a huge fourth quarter knowing probably, hey, White may not be coming back into the game. Guys have to step up, and it was Pritchard. And it was Holiday, too. It really was. And I was thinking in the first half, sometimes you're just looking at the box score. Oh, Jrue Holiday didn't score. But he's doing other things. Rebounds, assists on the defensive end. But all of a sudden, there was a point where he had 4 straight points, a putback and another basket in the paint as well. Smiley Jogger, get you in here. Great to see Hauser get the buzzer beater. Fun to see someone else get it. Yeah, there you go. I mean, Pritchard and Tatum are going to be your guys, right? End of a quarter, end of a game. Keep KP away from the Heat. Physically makes me nervous for KP against Miami. All right, Pascal, appreciate that. Appreciate you again checking in with us as well. So Celtics pick up the win, and wanted to go here for a moment. See where we're at here just for a second. Again, as we have a moment here, want to acknowledge our everydayers for making Locked On Celtics with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast their first listen every day. Celtics pick up the win 138-129 over the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls have some pieces. I think they were 10th coming in Friday night, so they would be in the play-in tournament. I don't want to call them a dangerous team in a 7-game series, but they can extend you and they can make you work. But an opportunity, and if they're in the play-in, I wouldn't want to play them. Absolutely not, because they're going to make you exert energy on the defensive end. Mike checking in. Mike, we've touched on. Shout out. Mike gives a shout out to Holiday, playing winning basketball in the fourth quarter near the end. Listening to the Bulls broadcast, they said he did all the things so well. Yeah, that's what he does. And I've said it before. I had Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine, right? I enjoy listening to the home broadcast, whether it's the radio side or it's the TV side for the Celtics. I don't always like the visiting teams because I don't know that they always do a complete homework check on the visiting team. But if they were saying that, Mike, and I appreciate the heads up on it, if they were saying that about Jrue Holiday, absolutely. Because you know what? You want others on the outside. And we're on the outside, but you get the visiting team broadcast every once in a while. You want them to have a good idea. You want them to have an appreciation. They know Tatum. They know Brown. They know Porzingis is back. Do they know a heck of a lot about Jrue Holiday and Kata and even Pritchard? If you look at Pritchard's numbers over the course of the season, he should not be a surprise to anybody in the building watching him at all. At all. Tap for music. Holiday became clutch towards the end. A 3 and great defense. Yeah. And again, we just sometimes look at the points. It's not just all about the points. Holiday is doing so many other things on the floor. He's an absolute key contributor to the Celtics team. 100% across the board. In case you missed it, the Hawks did beat the Cavaliers by 17 earlier in the day on Friday. Cavaliers have now dropped 2 in a row for the first time this season, 17-3 through their first 20. Back-to-back losses, both to Atlanta. How about the Hawks all of a sudden? Could be 3 straight losses for the Cavaliers. Celtics beat the Cavaliers in Cleveland on Sunday. You'll be 2-0 against Cleveland on the season. That'll be important come springtime. We're a long way off from there because the calendar finally turns to December on Sunday. But you're up 2-0 in the season series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's more important to me right now than point differential. You go into Cleveland on Sunday. You show the Cavaliers once again, we're the team that is better than you right now. You're chasing us. And if you can't beat the Celtics on Sunday, again, it plays into the psyche. I believe that 100%. Hey, can we beat this team? Can we beat this team? Numbers of the night. Get into the box score. That's next. Locked On Celtics postcast with you and happy to be on board with you as we discuss the Celtics 138-129 victory on the road in Chicago against the Bulls. Hauser again, a late 3, implications for the NBA Cup and whether the Celtics are going to move on from pool play. Tatum 35, Holiday 11 points all in the second half. We are sponsored by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 free in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL. All right, we're going to get into numbers of the night here in just a moment. Celtics with, another impressive win. They're not all the same. Celtics scored 39 in the first quarter, 42 in the fourth quarter. And in 3 of the 4 quarters, Chicago scored 30 or more. They were held to 29. They played even, 29-29 through 3 quarters, in the third quarter. And for the first time in 9 games, the Celtics did not take a lead to the fourth quarter. It looked like a lead. Again, they reviewed a Pritchard shot, long 2, not a 3, and essentially tied after 3 quarters. But the Celtics pull out the win. And again, it's a victory. You want to beat Eastern Conference opponents. You want to beat a team like the Bulls because, like the Cavaliers right now, you don't want to give them any type of positive momentum in the season series. And I think if the Celtics go into Cleveland and make it 8 wins in a row, hey, great start to the season for the Cavaliers. But if they lose on Sunday, they've now lost 3 straight. And they would be 17-4. And the Celtics at that point would be 17-3, and they'd have the better record. And we all knew, the Celtics ended their win streak to open up the season. And we talk about the Celtics winning anywhere from 65, 68 games on the year. Are the Cavaliers going to win 65 to 68 games? No, they're coming back to reality a little bit. Hey, applaud them for the great start to the season. But the Celtics are right there with them, and we knew they would be. And if you can go up 2-0 in the season series, that's more important for me right now than the NBA Cup. You can share your thoughts on that as well if you'd like. Smiley Jogger. Has Tatum moved ahead of Kornet and Tillman, or is it just a matchup choice? No, I think he's moved ahead of them, and I think rightfully so. Tillman's had a handful of DNPs. Kornet, I believe it was a hamstring issue. He was available. He was completely available to come into the game, but Kata, got 6+ minutes. And again, on the floor immediately at the start of that fourth quarter, rebound, assist, and making a positive contribution. That's what you're going to want to see. I mean, it's not easy to come into that role. But with Porzingis out, and even when Horford was out while Porzingis was coming back, Kata stepped up in a big way. And taking nothing away from Kornet or Tillman, but right now, they're deep on the bench. And it'll be interesting to see when their numbers are called, what are they going to do? Because the opportunities may be few and far between right now. Now, again, just looking ahead to Monday, the second of a back-to-back. What are the Celtics now? 3-0 on game 2 of a back-to-back so far this season. They've got one Sunday, Monday. They've got one next Friday, Saturday. I don't know that Porzingis plays in either of the second games of those back-to-backs. I don't want to say limited, but it makes sense where he's not in the lineup. So Tillman, Kornet in those situations may see some minutes. Phil checking in. Good question about Kata. I think Kata absolutely moves in front of those guys. I think it's deserved. I really do. And I said the other day, and I think I actually got a couple of messages after we were wrapped up, but Kristaps Porzingis, to me, hey, he's going to make everybody better, right? Especially on the defensive end. He might be the anchor of the defense, but you can't be completely reliant on Porzingis back there. I don't think that's been the case through the first 2 games, but he's shown that ability on the defensive end and what he brings. But it can't just be all on him. But somebody said, hey, he's going to make everybody better. I agree with that, but I do believe he could have a positive impact on Neemias Queta. And there was one point, I think it was in the third quarter. Got it in my notes, but it was in the third quarter. They went with Horford and Porzingis. Chicago made a little bit. Chicago was in the midst of a run at that point in time, and they didn't stay on the floor together long. But at some point, can you go real big? I don't know that you can. If Derrick White's going to miss a couple of games, Joe Mazzulla has the ability to tinker with some different lineups along the way as well. Pritchard, again, outstanding night. Just outstanding. Absolutely needed it. Season high 29. Knocking down the three-pointers as well. Pritchard knocked down 7 threes, 5 in that fourth quarter. So 1, 2, 3. 8 games this year where he's hit 5 or more threes coming off the bench. Right? Has not started a game this year. And if he's in the starting lineup, doesn't take away, I don't know what the exact number is, but he hasn't started a game so far this season through now 19 games. So he'd still very much be in the running for 6th man of the year. It's just something I'm almost saying tongue-in-cheek right now, right? But he just keeps knocking down threes. Had 6 against the Clippers on Monday night. Previous 2 games combined, 2 for 8. But now 13 threes in his last 2 games. Remember earlier this season, I've got his day-by-day up here on my stats. Games 2, 3, and 4 had 5 at Washington, 5 threes at Detroit, and then 8 threes against Milwaukee at home back on October 28th. And even when he goes cold, he had one game where he was 0 for 5. That was against Charlotte, the first of 2 in a row against the Hornets in early November. And then, again, prior to hitting 6 against the Clippers this past Monday, he had gone 1 for 3 and 1 for 5. That's as cold as he's been. He was 1 for 9 against the Knicks in the season opener. But the Celtics raising the banner at TD Garden back on October 22nd. Feels like it was 3 years ago right now. But he absolutely just delivered. And that's really the numbers of the night. Pritchard had, the 1 for 10, 1 for 9 from 3 against the Knicks on opening night. And then from there, it was the next 3 games where he combined 3 games and 18 threes. Pritchard's getting it done in so many different ways. And that's your numbers of the night. Looking ahead. Hey, the Celtics now tied. They were up a point, but they weren't up a point. They took a point off the board start of that fourth quarter. I'm really enamored with that. It would have been 9 straight games with the lead after 3. But in games after 3. Big fourth quarter for the Celtics. What's next? Hey, you're coming off 3 days off. You come up with another road victory. Just 1 road loss on the season. So now, on to Cleveland. Then 5 in a row at home. That's from December 2nd through the 19th. Remember, you've got the NBA Cup mixed in there with the knockout run, around the quarterfinals. Cleveland on Sunday. The Heat at home in Boston on Monday. Pistons on Wednesday. Bucks on Friday. Grizzlies next Saturday. Where are the Celtics a week from Saturday after they played the Memphis Grizzlies at home? Because from December 8th through the 18th, if you're not making it to the knockout round or to Las Vegas for the semifinals and the finals of the NBA Cup, you're spectators. And you're getting the rest. And I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world for the Celtics. During the baseball season in July, I said, hey, the All-Star break's coming at the perfect time for the Red Sox. And that did not work out to start the second half on the road against the Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies. I still think about that. Pascal, if White misses time, I'd like to see him. Sorry, I already got to that one. Sorry, Pascal. Cleveland needs a bounce back. I expect Sunday to be a dogfight. Philip, appreciate checking in. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I was thinking about, and not that it played out exactly the way I thought it would be on Friday, but, I was looking at some of the numbers for the Bulls overall and thought, yeah, this is going to be an entertaining game. Sunday, early evening in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, that's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. So, Philip, I agree with you on that 100%. Hey, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with all the free Locked On Celtics information in the Locked On Celtics newsletter. We do thank you, as always, for making Locked On Celtics with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. Again, we like to remind you, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Also, we love the comment section. We love that people come on board with us after each Celtics game with the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel as well. Celtics 139-129 victory against the Bulls and Chicago, and the win streak is now at 7 straight for the Celtics. We're going to be with you within minutes of the final buzzer Sunday after the Celtics and Cavaliers matchup in Cleveland. Celtics trying to go 2-0 on the season against the Cavaliers. And if they win on Sunday, it'll be a 3rd straight loss for Cleveland, an 8th straight win for the Celtics, and the Celtics would be atop the Eastern Conference with still a lot of the NBA regular season still to come. Locked On Sports Boston, your number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every day.